Hey guys, my name is Hannah and I would say, let's have some fun today. So we are coming to an end of a good makeup year in terms of eyeshadows. For me, especially, I had the feeling this year there were really so many beautiful eyeshadows that I tried that came out that I really liked and loved. So today I really wanna show you my top 10 with a little bit of cheating again. But my top 10 for the year, and I'm really excited about that. I have to be honest, it wasn't easy because I needed to narrow everything down to 10. So maybe that's because there's a little bit of cheating included. I'm sorry for that, but it's really not easy. When there are so many beautiful eyeshadows, it's very hard to narrow it down to your top 10. They aren't in a particular order, so everything I'm showing you I'm in love with. There's no number 1 and no number 10. They're all so beautiful, so I included them all in here, and I just want to share my enjoyment with you. And maybe there are 1 or 2 eyeshadows you tried yourself this year, and we can chat a little bit about them. So without further ado, let's get right into the video and let's get started. I will start with the eyeshadows I'm wearing on my eyes today because it's a little bit easier that way to tell you what I'm wearing right now. Everything else, of course, like always, will be linked down below. The first one is my Dior Backstage Celestial Purple palette. I really enjoyed it again. I tried by now, I think, with this one, 3 Dior Backstage palettes, and I think they are very beautiful. They are a little bit more on the subtle side, not too in your face, but I think this is also the beauty of those palettes right here. And I'm wearing this one, especially today on the outer corner. I'm having the bluish, blackenish one. In the inner portion, I have the pinkish one, and in my inner corner again I have this white one, and also I sprinkled at the outer portion a little bit of the brown shade in. So this is everything I'm wearing on the upper and lower lash line. And I think also a little bit of this silver shade in the middle portion. But I topped everything also off with another palette that we are talking about in a sec. But yeah, this would be in my top 10 for sure because I always enjoy the formulation of the Dior Backstage line. And I think it's a very nice, easy peasy, quick palette. And I really like to use this one this year around. So yeah, very happy with this one. And I like especially to also combine it with other palettes. But also on its own, it's a beautiful palette. It's giving you something special, but in a very light, ethereal way. So I'm very appreciative of this one. Next one is the palette I'm also wearing on my eyes. And it's the first time I tried this brand. And it's the Unity palette from Adept Cosmetics. First of all, the packaging, beautiful, and the inside is even more stunning. I played with the shade Balanced Beauty, Balanced Bond in my middle portion. I really sprinkled it out just that I have a little bit more of something glittery. And I also did in the front portion, I did go in with the shade Serene Spirit, this one right here, to make the pink shade even more pop. And I'm very happy with that look today. It's not too much, but it's also there. And I really, really love it. And I think the glittery aspect brought the look back to life, if you know what I mean. So yeah, very happy with that look. And this palette right here from Adept really caught me off guard, you could say, because I didn't expect to like it that much. I bought it on a whim, really. I just put it into my cart as well because it was on a sale and I thought, hey, why not? Let's try Adept. I always heard about this brand and I never tried it, so let's do this now. And I fell head over heels with this palette right here. I think it's stunning and beautiful, and I'm very happy that I gave it a shot and tried this brand. So yeah, so happy with my looks that I did with you together, but also the looks I did on my own. And this is a palette actually that's not creasing too badly on me, and sometimes even never. And sometimes I even have non-creasing with this one. So this is also a plus. And I love the sparkly shades. They are so sparkly, so twinkly in the right light. It's hitting right into my soul, if you know what I mean. I'm really a sucker for sparkly shades. So yeah, so in love with the composition, with the color story, with everything about this palette. And it's really it really needs to be on my top 10 list for sure. Okay, the next palette is I was between this one and the other one from Ainsley Rain, but immediately I said, okay, let's put the Underland palette into my top 10 because also this year, it was the first year I ever tried Ainsley Rain for myself. I also tried the Harvest Moon palette and I love this palette. This will always be, I have the feeling, my number one. But because this one is newer, I immediately decided to put the Underland palette in this video because I really, really enjoy the Underland palette. I think this is such a beautiful color story. The first time I saw it, I wanted it immediately. It was the same feeling that I also had with the Harvest Moon palette. So either way, you are doing nothing wrong. If you like the Harvest Moon color story a little bit more, it's such a stunning palette. If you like this one a little bit more, it's such a stunning and beautiful palette. I just can rave about this one. It's so beautiful. It's, again, creasing a little bit on me, but, you know, it's always with Ainsley Rain. I can't do anything about it. I just can provide it a little bit more with some ways, but it's always a little bit creasing. So, yeah, I wished it wouldn't, but I love always their color stories, their formulation, their sparkly shades, especially the shifty shades, the holochrome shades. With Ainsley Rain, I had my first ever holochromes in my collection and I was very stunned by that. So yeah, it needed, of course, to be also in this ranking. The next one is a palette I tried, I think, at the beginning of the year almost. And it's my first ever Big Byredo palette. I always wanted to try their big palettes and it's the Mineral Escape palette right here. The packaging, it's okay, to be honest. It's not wow. But the inside, guys, the color story, how it's applying, how it's looking. There are their shades, but you also have the feeling you are very day friendly appropriate because they are looking so classy on the eyes and I really appreciate that and they are beautiful shades. I love this. It needed to be in my top 10 for sure because I use this palette until now very, very often, especially the green and blue row. It's exactly the type of green and blues that I love to use, but also the neutral row, you know, you can mix and match. You can see how you feel over the day. I think this palette is such a stunning palette and I'm happy that this one is my first one actually because it's also the first color story that's hitting right into my heart. With the blues, with the greens, with the purples. It's such a stunning palette and yeah, very, very happy that I purchased this one. The next one is not the newest one from Danessa Myricks because this was the first Lightwork palette I tried and it's the Lightwork 5 palette from Danessa Myricks. It's such a beautiful palette, guys. I love that I tried this one this year because I fell really head over heels also with the more chunky shades. I think they are so special on the eyes. They're always looking so interesting and so, you know, crumpled up on the lids, but in a way that's really intentional and I really love that. And the shades, the chromy shades in here are also so beautiful and stunning. I think this palette overall is such a hit for me and I really love that I bought it. I love to use it on its own as in one and done with the darker shades, but I also love to, more than just as in one and done, I love to sprinkle this palette in when I'm using another palette that's having not enough oomph for me. I sprinkle this one in to give me the little bit more oomph that I need for the day, if you know what I mean. So yeah, very, very happy with this one. I love the colors, I love this palette, and I'm very satisfied with this one. I think it's a beautiful palette. Okay, now we're coming a little bit to the cheating part, and it's again with Tom Ford because I loved all the Tom Ford palettes I tried. I just pulled out 4, but I also have the Emerald Dusk palette. I have the Honeymoon palette I really loved. It's not new, but it was the year for me, you know, where I tried really Tom Ford. But yeah, I pulled out the Metallic Mauve palette. I think this one is so beautiful, so stunning. Love the rosy purplish undertone in it. It's a beautiful palette and the glittery shades. Oof. Love them from the moon and back. I decided to also pull out my Black Diamond palette because I got so many compliments for my eye look from you guys and, you know, I don't think you can give me that many compliments because then I'm having a nose up there, and I thought, yeah, the palette is really cool with my eyes, and then I started to really like it, especially this glittery shade. So I'm very happy with this one, and I need to use it more, but it's definitely in my top 10. And I also pulled out the Iconic Smoke palette. I thought it was last year, but it was actually this year I bought it. And I think this is the first time I tried his cream formulation. It's a little bit of a different cream formulation apparently, but I love it. It's so beautiful, so stunning, so creamy. And also the glittery shade again, it's very metallic and glittery. So I felt head over heels with this one. And the last one I decided to pull out is my Lumière d'Hiver palette, because every time I'm telling you how much I love the combination with the very white shade and this very white glittery shade. I feel like a wintry princess with this look. I really, really like it. If I had to decide which one I love the most, it's very hard for me, guys. But I think it would go, I think to the Metallic Mauve palette, because I really love that look that I created with this, and I also really love the two glittery shades. It was the first time, I think. No, it wasn't the first time, but I really also like the newer glittery formulation from Tom Ford. I think it's very beautiful and stunning, and I love that I get two of those in here, and that the one up here is so special. It has so many interesting glitter particles to it, so I'm very happy with this one. But yeah, you could say you can count this as one, because no matter which one you wanna use, you wanna try, you think I wanna try a little bit more Tom Ford, you can't do anything wrong if you are choosing one of those, if it's your color story, because in my opinion, they are very beautiful and stunning. Okay, we are coming to the last 4 palettes, and the next one would be my Avatar The Last Airbender water palette from Lethal Cosmetics. I love this color story to the moon and back. I also brought me the Fire palette, but this is for sure my favorite of those two that I tried, because it's so beautiful, so stunning. Especially this shade in the middle is so interesting. I love when it's on my eyes. I want to stare all day at my eye look that I created with this one, because I love the sparkles in here. I love the wetness. I love how shiny it is and how special it's looking. So yeah, I'm very happy. I really want to try a little bit more of Lethal coming year, because they're really knocked it out of the park for me with those palettes right here. Don't try it every The Last Airbender palette, but I think even though I would have tried all the 4 palettes, this one would still remain my favorite, because I love blues and I love the color story in here. The next one is, I tried a little bit more of indie brands this year, and it's my Sorcerer palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. This one is so beautiful and stunning. This is the front cover, and here's the inside. It's very, very beautiful, guys. I love how vibrant it is. I love how sparkly the sparkly shades are. I love how shifty some shades are. And I love the eye look that I created with you together for Arcane, where I recreated Powder's look, and I love that the palette gave me the opportunity to do exactly that look. It's that look in a palette, if you know what I mean. So I was very happy with that. And also when I tried it for myself and did a little bit more of laid back looks, you also can do that, even though it's not looking like that. But if you are just sticking to one of those lighter glittery shades and you really go very lightly with the brush into a matte shade, but very, very lightly, it's so pigmented, you can also create something very fairly lighter on your eye. But all in all, it's a very pigmented palette, but I love it for that. I think it's so stunning and beautiful, and for sure I needed to count this one into my favorite 10s. Okay, the next one, maybe you wouldn't expect that, but it's my Twilight X Colourpop palette. I have to be honest, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to Twilight. It's my teenager years. I loved it. My whole room was full of Edward and Bella posters and Twilight in general. I was a little bit crazy about it, but yeah, it was so nostalgic for me, and I really fairly enjoyed it. And just alone that Colourpop did this color story right here, it's reminding me exactly of the first movie. It's the first movie in a palette. So I love that. It's stunning. It's exactly capturing the vibe of Twilight, and I loved it also on my eyelids because I'm very a big fan of such blues that are leaning a little bit more into the grayish bluish area. They're so stunning looking always. I love those blues always, and also the greens. It's exactly that kind of green that I like on my eyes. I don't like the very strong, bright neon type of greens on my eyelids. I always love those more toned down greens when it comes to greens because I'm not the biggest green fan, but when I'm wearing green, those tones are right up my alley. So love this palette, and it also needed to be in my top 10 because they nailed it. They nailed it with this palette right here. And the last one is my Cosmic Brushes, or nowadays Cosmic Beauty palette, Wonderland. The Wonderland palette. I think, do I have to say more? I always telling you how much I love green, how much I love those lighter type of purples. Those types of purples I'm not wearing that often, to be honest, but everything else in here, it's so beautiful. Everything is beautiful. It's just a preference thing, you know? But this one is for sure in my top 10s. Look how stunning the color story is. It's very monochromatic, but on the same time it's not, because there are so many different types of undertones, colors, variations of blues and pinks and purples in here, and I really appreciate that. And the greens are also giving it a little bit of something else, and I really, really like that. I think overall this is a beautiful palette, and of course it's in my top 10. Okay guys, we are at the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed looking what I bought this year. There are some more palettes, but those are really the palettes I wanted to narrow it down to because they're really stuck to my head, you know? They're really stuck to my brain, and I'm always thinking about them. I used them very fairly often this year, and I was very impressed by them. So I really wanted to share today with you my tops of the palettes I bought. Some I don't even have anymore, some I have and I love them, but you know, when it's really coming down to it, those are the palettes I would recommend and I really liked. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. If so, I would be really happy if you give me a thumbs up, that I know that you like this kind of content. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click on the little bell to get notifications here and there when I'm posting something new. And with that being said, have a nice, beautiful new year with your family, with your friends, alone, you know, just make the best out of it. I hope you are having a good new year, a good start into the new year, and I'm wishing you all the best. And until then, guys, we will see each other, of course, in my next video. Very excited about that. Bye.